Hi everyone, hope you're well. Good evening, good afternoon, whatever time it is for you in the world. Welcome to this webinar. My name's Adam. This is James, the good-looking chap over here. And yeah, thanks for your time. We hope to deliver some good content for you today and get the questions answered that you have got, that you've submitted into us. If you want to ask any other questions as we're chatting, please fill them in the chat section and we'd love to answer those for you today. And yeah, we've got a few bits to talk about, and yeah, hopefully we'll deliver some good value to you. James, do you want to just give us the disclaimer before we start, just to let everyone know our stance and what we do and what we don't do?
Yeah. I'm just making sure everybody's in.
Yeah, I'll keep an eye on it. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's all right. Everyone's connected now, I think, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
No faces tonight. We normally see a lot of faces. Everyone's shy. That's all right. Oh, here we are. There we are. I'm coming on board now. Look. How you doing? Right. Yeah. Hi everyone. We have to say this first. So we'll just get it over with. This is our disclaimer. We're not financial advisors. We are financial educators. We make people financially aware. And we decided that right from the beginning that we didn't want to advise, want to be within that zone. We believe in forcing families, mums, dads, their children, even, all right, everybody, the whole family. We believe in empowering the family to be to make their own financial decisions, to get themselves to where they want to be. Because people are not stupid. If people were given the information that we share at an early age, then they would know what to do. They would know exactly what to do. But the education that we share is not taught in schools, not in the majority of schools anyway, that we know of. Please tell us any difference if it is. But yeah, it's not taught in schools, and it should be. So we're here to fill the gaps, basically, and we're here to just share information with you. You can either take it or leave it. We always say, don't believe us. Go and do your own research. Don't just believe us and think, oh yeah, because he said so, because Adam said so, because James said so. Go and do your own research. But like I said, we're not financial advisors, we're educators. It's very different. We come in from a very different place, Adam, don't we? Don't give advice.
Yeah, I think another interesting angle is we're customers as well. First and foremost,
of course. Oh yeah.
We are customers. So, you know, you get a lot of, and we're not shooting down financial advisors. If there's any financial advisors watching this, like, you know, and yeah, it's not all about us versus them or anything like that. But we just come from a different angle. And being customers, we're not showing people a nice idea. We're showing them what we do for ourselves and our families and have done for many years now. So that's quite an interesting angle and approach. You know, we look at things and answer the questions initially that we knew that we had at the beginning, and the stuff we wanted to know. And, you know, I guess I always find it interesting when financial advisors say, you know, you should put your money here, here, and here. And then you say to them, well, is that what you do with your money? And there's a bit of an awkward silence. And the vast majority of the time, it's not the case. They don't do what they're telling you to do. For me, that's a disconnect. And you know, if their money's in the place that they're telling you to put yours, then they're not just moving the lips. Yeah, they're actually walking the walk as well as talking the talk. We can all talk the talk, but actually doing it with your own hard-earned cash that you work flipping hard for is a different thing. So that's the perspective and the angle that we come from. We're customers first and foremost, and we educate people about what we've learned. We've kind of had a big deep dive into this stuff.
We just don't like keeping things to ourselves, Adam, do we?
No, we're not very good at that.
I started first learning this when I was in the army, in the British Army. Started learning the financial education. I paid some very wealthy people a lot of money to learn what I know now. And I just wanted to share it with people. I didn't want to keep it to myself because there's enough money out there for everyone. There's wealth out there for everyone. It's just a lot of people have this mentality of that there isn't, and they want to keep it to themselves and not share that information. So we do, we just go out and tell everybody. We think everybody should know. if you've got something good, we think it's going to make a difference, we'll let you know. We'll tell you, and then you can make the choices.
Yeah, definitely. And again, not to blow our own trumpets and not being like super humble or anything like that. But there are people that, in fact, there's been someone today that said, "Look, I'm ready to buy some gold. I'm ready to go. Tell me what I need to do." And actually, I said, "Okay, just remind me what you're thinking of doing." And we went through everything. And I said, "Do you know what? From what you told me last time to what you've told me today, this isn't the best option for you, I don't think." And I've just said, "Look, go away and think about it. It has to be your decision. But from what you've told me, I don't think metals are going to be the best thing for you right now." And that's the thing that I would say 95% of the people we speak to, yes, it is a good thing for them, but not everybody. And that's, that's why it's not one size fits all. It's about getting educated, looking at the lifetime of your investment, saying, "Look, where am I now? Where do I want to be? And can precious metals get me there?" And it's very different for people. There's many different ways of structuring it as well with different metals. Are you more at the more of a retirement age, and you're looking more just to lock in what you've got rather than take bigger risks? Different strategy for that than someone that's maybe in the 20s and just starting off. So it's a case-by-case basis, and hopefully with the information we provide, we can empower you to have more knowledge about your situation.
Well, this is why we decided, Adam, wasn't it, at an early stage when we first started out doing this, especially with the Goldbuster side, we decided to speak to people, every person.
Yeah.
Because we could have quite easily just automated it and sent you to the right place to press the right buttons to buy gold. But it's not as straightforward as that. It isn't a personalized service then, is it?
Yeah. Can I just caveat that by saying in different parts of the world, there's different ways we can help you. And for people in the US, the way that we do things, the laws just don't allow us to do it in that way, just because the US government, they have quite a strong hold over what goes on. So we didn't have any option for people in the US at some point, but we've looked hard and found a company that can help you. So we try and speak to everyone else that's outside of the US, anyone within. We just first we did speak to people, and then we realized actually because of the laws and the limitations, we couldn't actually do anything, which is really frustrating. It is really tough. And again, for a time, we couldn't even say, "Hey, speak to these people in the US," but now we can. So we have kind of an option for everyone. The best option that we can find for people, whether that's speaking to us direct or us pointing you in the right direction because of, the limitations. So just to clear that up, because I know there might be some people saying, "Well, you've not called me," and our hands are tied with that basically. So as long as you understand that. James, shall we have a look at just what the price of metals have been doing recently with gold and silver? Because I know this has been a big talking point. Everyone loves it when the metals are going up, and it's kind of easy when the metals are going up. But I think the smart people, the smart investors, the smart savers know what to do when it goes down as well. The masses are off doing one thing, and the people that I guess are educated and empowered, they know what to do. So James, do you want to just enlighten us a little bit on the performance?
Well, it's taken a bit of a dip just recently, the last few days, hasn't it? I think last time I looked, it was what, the 1780 mark, and that's dollars per ounce for gold. But obviously, we now and again we have customers that will contact us. They haven't looked at their account for a few years, and they might look, and this is always the case actually, not sometimes, it's always the case. Yeah, they always seem to log on when the prices have taken a little bit of a dip. so they'll start panicking. So we basically just have to reassure them and say, look, it's a long-term thing. This isn't it. It's a good time to buy. There's a sale on. It's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
We just have to remind them of these points and show them the long-term results of precious metals.
What do the masses do when the prices go?
Masses panic, don't they? Generally, the masses panic when the price drops
and look to sell.
Yeah,
the masses actually look to sell.
The complete opposite.
Yeah, which I always remember, James, you said something to me, and it stuck with me, and that is that if you knew nothing else, if you never got educated and empowered about anything, if you simply observe the masses and do the opposite, you'll do all right. Because the masses generally do the wrong thing at the wrong time. So when the metals are going down, generally speaking, the masses are selling. But actually,
in March time they took a dip, didn't they? In March, was it? I think it was. So I actually personally, just to let you guys know, I was keeping an eye on the market, so I personally, if it drops below a certain level, I'll actually make bulk buy payments. I'll make 7
purchase more.
Yeah, so I'll just buy more. So I did it in March, then it went up and it's dropped back a little bit recently. So I've just bought some more literally yesterday, was it the day before, Adam?
Yeah.
We had a bit of a promotion on, didn't we? We get a little bit extra too. I was like, all right, okay. That's 2% bonus.
Why do you do that, James? Just so people understand why when it's going down, why is that a good time to buy?
There's a sale on, you can buy more with your money. That's the simple answer. So when it goes up again, you've got more going up. I'm trying to keep it simple, you see, because it's very easy.
That makes sense.
Complicate it, yeah.
And I think once you understand the big picture, the zoomed out picture, that, some experts say there's 20 years left of mineable gold in the earth. You can't print anymore. It's not going to last forever. It's getting more and more expensive to mine gold. It's, the cost of labor, the cost of fuel's going up. For every ton of earth that they pull out of the ground, you get between 1 and 2 grams of pure gold. It's a very expensive process. With that big picture, it's very easy to see that the price generally over the long term is up. So when there's these short-term dips or corrections, as long as you know the price is going up, then you can go, well, actually, this is just a sale. This is just a better time to buy. This is an opportunity and not a threat. And I think that's what the people who know this big picture and see the big picture and see the value of paper money going down, that's what they do, and that's what we'd encourage people to do as well. To take advantage of it.
You've got to try and get a handle. Is that the right word? Get a grip of your own emotions.
Yeah.
Because your emotions can be, you've got to be like Spock off Star Trek. I hate to admit it, but I am a Trekkie, anti-Adam. I made him watch James T. Kirk once.
Yeah.
He wasn't impressed with you. But yeah, Spock. Yeah, you've got to be like Spock off Star Trek and try and get a grip of your emotions and just remind yourself why you're doing it. And literally, like I said, every now and again, if the metals take a little bit of a dip, you guaranteed one of our customers will be checking it at that point.
Yeah.
And they'll have a bit of a panic on, they'll contact us, and so we'll just go through it with them again and just reassure them. Now and again, but
Yeah, I would say as well, look, there's 2 prices that are important: the price you buy at and the price you sell at. In between that, doesn't really matter. If the price has gone down and you're not selling, don't worry about it. You can look back through history at times where there's been dips, and if you'd have sold at that point, obviously you'd have taken a loss or less profit. But then you fast forward, you go through the data, and you think, oh, it's actually gone up again. So I wish we could predict the future and say exactly at this time on this date. We can't, but the general trend is up. So any dips, it's an opportunity for sure.
I mean, it's something that we've always said also, Adam. This is such an important point. I know we've said it. we have to keep on saying it, because I mean, we had to be told things over and over again, Adam, didn't we, before it sunk in with us?
Many times, many times.
Yeah, the main thing for us anyway isn't actually the growth of gold. It's getting our money out of the banks. Because Adam will tell you, because he speaks to everybody, the amount of customers that are coming to us right now and telling us stories of what's actually happening when they're trying to transfer money from the bank into gold and to buy gold, and the banks are doing everything they can to stop people from doing this. And there's obviously a reason for this, isn't there?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, a lady that we've been speaking to for a long time. We've managed to help her out massively. She's kept me updated. She rings me and lets me know how the bank are behaving. And long story short, she wanted to buy some metals. The bank approved her transfer of funds to buy the metals, which is crazy in itself that they have to approve it, but they did. Fair dues, no problem. She then made a transfer after that, and the bank approved it. And some weeks, I can't remember weeks or months after that, they decided to investigate the transactions that they'd approved, and they froze her account. And with no real explanation of what was going on. They definitely didn't keep in contact with her and say, look, don't worry, we'll sort this out, and we'll, this is how it's going to work. It meant that all of her bills that she had were meant to be coming out of her account, just day-to-day things, didn't get paid. So the companies that she were, the utilities weren't getting paid. She had to speak to them and say, my account's frozen, there's money in there. And it's taken weeks and weeks and weeks. She was given 2 names by the bank of people to speak to. Every time she rang up, she asked for these 2 people. One of them, they said, doesn't work here anymore. And the second one, they'd never heard of. And these are her words. This is not us making it up. This is from her words. Finally, after weeks and weeks and weeks, they unfroze her account, but said that she can never do online banking with that bank again.
Mad.
So they'd given her some control back, but not all of it. So she was obviously happy that the whole ordeal was over. And but she's obviously looking for other options. Here's what really frustrates me with the banks is, intuitively that they control your money. And when they do this kind of thing, they don't help themselves. They're confirming what you thought already. And this is, unfortunately, it's becoming more and more common that this happens.
They're confirming what we've been personally saying for years, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're confirming it. And people
doesn't help.
People are finding out firsthand exactly what the banks are all about.
Yeah, they do things as well. And it shows they don't know what they're talking about, because they say things like, well, is this company FCA regulated? Is this company regulated by the Financial or Conduct Authority or the financial regulators? Precious metal market isn't regulated by any regulator in that sense. And so that worries some people. But for us, it's a massive encouragement, because they're not managing, no company is managing your money, which is great. It means that you're managing it and they're not doing it for you. Now, in certain circumstances, when it's pensions or 401ks or retirement accounts, then that's a different setup. It's set up that someone has to manage that so that it gets this tax deferred status. But on the whole, buying precious metals, they're not regulated, because they're not managing your money for you. You're buying metals and you own them. They don't own them. You own them.
Yeah. That was a key point for us, Adam, wasn't it? It's a key point.
100%. Ownership is number one. I don't care what price you paid. If you don't own it, then it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. So, yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
This is sorry, Adam. This is why in February, March time last year, I don't remember the exact date, but I prodded all my family in the chest and said, get your money out of the banks. Most of my family have been buying precious metals for probably 5 years now, actually. Quite a while have been buying precious metals for a long time now through us. But I knew that some of them had quite a lot of money sat in the bank in paper currency. obviously. So I just told them all to get it out now. So I'm so chuffed I did, and so are they.
Sure. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough, especially the people that are closest to you. Sometimes they're the most challenging to speak to.
Yeah, they all listen to me now. It's taken a few years, but they do listen now.
Yeah. Well, look, let's go through some questions that people have submitted. As we always say, the questions that they're gonna go through. Not every question that's submitted is. Some of them are more personal. You know, what do I do in this situation, or this is how much money I've got. What do I do with it? Blah blah blah. Obviously, those things it wouldn't be right to discuss on a open forum like this. But we'll get in contact with those people and speak to them individually. But for stuff that is more general and more would be helpful to everyone, then these are the questions we're answering now. So, so someone's asking about purchasing metals for children and grandchildren, a long-term thing, and time with investing in precious metals is your biggest asset, really, because the price goes up over time. So, what do you think about saving for children and grandchildren, James?
Oh, vital, in my view. Again, I've done it myself. My little boy was 3 days old. 3 days old, and I set him up a precious metals account. So he buys gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. Well, we do for him. So yeah, he's set up for life. He's not going to just get given it though. Yeah. We don't believe in giving people money or giving your children money because it doesn't do them any favors. We'll educate them first and show them how to invest it and what to do with it, buy assets with it, etc. But yeah, it's very important. We have a lot of grandparents, actually, don't we, Adam?
Yes.
Grandparents, but I think a lot of grandparents that come to us saying we've got a nice setup for our grandchildren, or got this setup, we want to move it into precious metals. It's a great idea. It's something we obviously don't advise, but we think it's a great idea when we do it ourselves.
Yeah, perfect. There's some other questions here that we can, I guess these are a little bit more specific, but where is it stored, and when it comes to the time when they want to access it, how do they go about that? Storage is a big thing. There's a question later on that we'll talk about storage, but there's many different ways of doing it. I would say definitely not in the bank. If you are taking money out of the bank and then you are buying metals and putting it in a safety deposit box with the bank, you don't bother, is that what I would say, because the metal, the value is coming out of the bank and it's going back in. They're expensive, and why would you give it to the same institution you're trying to get away from?
And for us, that doesn't make sense. And that's if you could get it back out anyway, because we've heard several stories in the past where people have had gold in the bank.
Yes.
And they've gone to ask for it back, and they haven't got it back. The bank has done everything in their power again to stop them. They've offered them paper currency, the IOU. They've offered them the fiat currency, but not the gold. So they know what they're doing. You have to see what they're doing, and then you just do the same. They're hoarding precious metals and gold and silver, aren't they? So we just need to do the same.
Great. So we've got a question here. What do you think the ratio of gold to silver will be by the end of the year? It's interesting. Something a little bit different.
Yeah, he's flipping out. What was it at the minute? 67 or 68, was it?
Yeah, something like that. I'll have a look now. I'll have a look what it is now. So, James, do you want to just, for anyone that doesn't understand or has never heard of the gold-silver ratio, some of you might be like, what even is that? Just explain what it is.
Well, it's the gap between the price of, it's basically, how do I put it in layman's terms? It's the gap between the price of gold and the price of silver. So if the price of gold is really, really high and the price of silver is really, really low, you want to be selling your gold and buying your silver because you're getting more silver with your money. And if it goes the other way, then you do the same. It's called the it's literally a strategy to make more from your metals. If you just buy and hold, buy and hold, buy and hold, and store, like what most people do, then you'll still benefit. But if you use the pound cost average, I mean, we've got it on our YouTube channel, Adam, haven't we? If anyone wants to know more about it, we can.
I guess just to sum it up and put it in a really succinct way is the gold-silver ratio basically says for 1 gram of gold or 1 ounce of gold, how many grams or ounces of silver can you get? So you're comparing 1 gram of gold with 1 gram of silver, or 1 ounce of gold with 1 ounce of silver. As long as they're the same, it doesn't really matter. And that produces a number, and that number at the minute is 68. So it means that for every 1 gram of gold, you can buy 68 grams of silver. 1 ounce of gold, 68 ounces of silver. And this ratio fluctuates. When one metal goes up and the other stays the same or goes down, then the number changes, and obviously the inverse as well. And if it doesn't take that much doing really, but if you switch between your metals when this ratio changes, then you can get physically more metals without actually putting any more money in. It's a really smart way of doing it. Essentially, what you're doing is when gold is expensive, as James said, you would sell your gold and you would buy silver. And you switch from what is expensive to what is cheap.
What is cheap? You get more of it.
And then when that ratio switches again, you switch back from what is now expensive to what is now cheap, and you physically have more than when you started with. You have to be careful of how you're doing it with the margins that you're being charged, but it can work really well.
I mean, we've got a facility where people can just press a button. It's a few clicks, Adam, isn't it? Where you can swap your gold for silver and silver for gold.
Yeah, 3 clicks you can do that.
You don't have to go into cash, and you don't have to sell it and then rebuy it again. It's all done for you.
That's
for that very reason, because we've showed people this example in the past. We've showed people real life examples. If you'd done this, you'd have made 2.5, nearly 3 times your money, or you'd have had 2.5, 3 times more precious metals, whether it be gold or silver, than what you would have done otherwise. I mean, that's not for everybody. It's not for most people actually, but it is for the few. I'm keeping an eye on it myself personally. Was it last year? I can't remember the date, Adam, but at one point the gold silver ratio was, I think it was 125.
Yeah, it got up there. Yeah, last year. Last year was obviously quite a crazy year, 2020, with a lot of stuff going on, a lot of unexpected things, and the gold silver ratio really rocketed up, and people made. It was really it was a real good time to be switching. So look, the gold silver ratio by the end of the year, who knows? Who knows what it will be? I think keep an eye on it if that's what your strategy for investing. But I don't know what that ratio will be. If we did, we'd be probably sat on a desert island in our speedos by now. If we could predict the future, but we can't. We just keep an eye on it.
A lot of people try and predict things, but we just stick to facts or try as best we can, Adam, and just tell people what we believe. But okay. Like I said, the main thing for us is just getting our money out of the bank. I don't have cash in the bank, only to pay bills. I have very, very little in the bank. I just do not trust them.
So we've got a question here, and this is almost back to basics, which is really good actually. It's good to remind yourself of why you're doing this. Is what is the main reason for investing in gold and silver? Like, what if you could put it down to let's say the top 5 reasons in no particular order, what would they be for you, James?
Control.
Control's number 1, yeah?
Control's number 1 without a shadow of a doubt.
Yep.
It's a hedge against inflation.
Yep.
Nobody else is taking advantage of you, because when your money's in the bank, what's the bank doing?
Yeah.
They're taking advantage of you and your money, and they control it. So you're getting more for your money long term. A lot more for your money.
Yeah.
Because you're getting, but anyway, that's just in the numbers. Have a look at the numbers.
Yeah.
Was that 4? Was that 5? Was that 4?
That's 4. That's 4.
Anything else? It's shiny.
Interesting that
it's real money. In my view, it's real money.
Yeah.
If you understand where currency came from, there's a lot more reasons than that. But if you understand where currency came from, which we've talked about before in our videos, it's basically a receipt for gold. Gold is the real money. Gold is money. And it's been seen as that for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. It's in people's psyche.
Yeah.
I think it always will be. What do you watch as children? You watch pirate films as kids, don't you? About always talking about gold and silver, aren't they? So you grow up learning about. You just know it's money. You know it's worth something. But paper currency, what does every fiat currency do eventually?
Yeah.
It goes to nothing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Loses its value.
Nice to have a little insight into your childhood there of watching pirate films. Yeah, interesting of those things that the performance of the metals and actually making money was number 4. It wasn't number 1, which I guess people, when they think about investments, that's the first thing. It's about making more money, you know, putting X amount in and getting X plus something else out. But yeah, control, massive point. It really, really is. I think as well, a lot of people, we've had quite a few people talk to us about a gold-backed currency or a gold-backed cryptocurrency, or we've heard quite a lot of things about different gold-backed systems or things like that. For me, if something is backed by something, I know we've mentioned this before, but the thing that's backing it is the value. Otherwise, it wouldn't need to be backed by anything. So I would rather have the thing that has the value, the thing that is backing it, rather than the thing that's in front of it, if you want to say, that can do all these kind of maybe nice shiny things. I'd rather have the metal. You know, it's I think that's it's easy to get to look at a lot of these things that are out there, and there's loads. I'm not knocking you know, cryptocurrencies and things like that, but anything that's backed by something, I personally would want the thing that's backing it rather than the item itself.
And just to be clear, currency isn't backed by gold anymore.
Yes.
It's just debt. It's created out of thin air now.
Yeah.
I know some people might know that, but some people might not.
Yeah.
It's not a receipt for gold anymore like it used to be.
Well, look what's happened. Just in the US, since January 2020, $6 trillion has been created. That if that had to be all backed by gold, that would be a heck of a lot of mining that was going on. But they don't need to. They just literally type it into a computer and it is created out of thin air. And it's just a tax on future generations. They're just kicking the can down the road. It has to be paid for with interest. Let's not forget that. All this, you know, in the UK we have something called the furlough scheme, giving people free money, stimulus checks. Any money from the government has to be paid back with interest. So I'm not saying it's not necessary or it shouldn't be done like that, but please be realistic in what's happening. When governments give you anything, be wary, because they want something in return that is bigger than what they've given you. And it might be that it's just on from future generations, but it's going to cost.
A little thing to add on that, Adam, too. When they're spending our money, because it is our money at the end of the day. When they're spending our money, they're not spending their own money. When you're spending your own money, you have a completely different psyche. You think completely different when you're spending your own money. These people in government, it's not theirs. It's not their money. So, you know, what do they care? It's like people in the army. When I served in the army, the things that they used to spend money on, we used to be like, it was very. It's just mad. It's crazy. The money they spend on things.
You mean the institution, the forces institution? Yeah.
Yeah. As a whole, what they'd spend money on, and it's mad. Because again, it isn't their money. They just get given a budget, and they have to spend it. They have to spend it by a certain date, or they wouldn't keep it. It was just given out free money. It doesn't work.
Yeah, very interesting.
It's been printed. We've said this over and over again, but the amount of currency that's been printed worldwide is ridiculous. It's gone off the scales.
Yeah.
I mean, we looked at 200 countries, Adam, didn't we? And was it 3 out of the 200 countries hadn't printed off the?
Yeah.
Hadn't printed.
Three out of 200 countries had not printed or created, and that's the key word, created more money in 2020. Which, yeah, I guess if countries can bring funds in through tax revenue, then you know how a household budget works. These people try and make it sound so complicated, but it really isn't. You've got money in and money out, and if the money out is bigger than the money in, you've got a problem. Clearly, by printing and creating more money, there's not enough money coming in. So now you've got not enough money coming in.
Good point.
More money going out, and you've taken a loan out, which means you've got to pay it back with interest. But before then, you didn't have enough money coming in the first place. So the whole thing spirals, and it spirals out of control, and it's unsustainable. It really is. So I know we've gone down a bit of a rabbit hole there, but I think looking at the whole picture, this all adds into why we buy precious metals, because the banks, the currency, the government, they're all in each other's pockets. We want to be out of that system. Not totally, I think. Well, not us. We don't think that personally. We don't want to be totally, not use a bank account and things like that, because I think life becomes quite difficult. And I think they've made it that way, that you do need to rely on these things to some degree, but not put everything in there. Reduce your risk and your exposure to the banks and to that system. Yeah,
it's just doing what you can, isn't it? I think reasonably doing what you can.
Yeah,
take back control of what you can. Take back responsibility of you and your own life, and just try and not rely on the government or anybody else to look after you. There's so many people that are so reliant on the government to look after them. It just gives the government more control over you. They can do what they want. But anyway, I won't go into that. So I'll just get all.
I know it's good.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Question here: are metals trackable? It's an interesting question. We've had a lot of people ask us if metals are chipped. As far as I'm aware, the metals that we buy aren't chipped, but they do have serial bar numbers. So each bar has its own unique number that essentially you could track it from inception, and if it's stored to where it's actually stored. Obviously, if it's out of a storage system, it's in your home, it's not trackable in that sense. But each bar has its own number to prove that what it is, where it's come from, and that it's got a history. So I guess not trackable in the same sense that your mobile phone is trackable with GPS and that kind of thing, but I guess they're more traceable than trackable. Okay, a question here: what percentage of one's portfolio is it advised to invest in gold? Yeah, I think this is more of a. Say again.
They use the word advise, but most people do when they speak to us. Is we can't advise. First thing comes on.
We don't advise. This can differ massively, and I think if you're looking at it's more of a portfolio management view, where they will look at a certain percentage in stocks, a certain percentage in bonds, a certain percentage high yield, low yield, and all this kind of thing. I don't really look at it like that. What do you look at it like that, James? Is it a percentage for you, or?
It was when I first started out.
Okay.
But the more I learned about the banking system, the more I just wanted it out somewhere safe.
What was the percentage out of interest at the beginning?
About 20% for me personally.
20%. And where was that number from?
It was just from a lot of research and what was out there, what people were actually advising them. And
so the general feel was like 20% in metals, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, me personally, because I'm an investor, I invest in property, also big cryptocurrencies, etc. I invest in things where I get a cash flow.
Mm.
Where precious metals, you don't get the cash flow. But when I do get the cash flow, I like to put it somewhere safe, and it isn't in the bank. I put it into precious metals. So that's like more of a what's the word? Preserving what I've got, protecting what I've got.
Yeah,
it's a wealth insurance. That's the way I look at it. That's the way I look at it. Yes, it does hold its own and it goes up over time, but I look at it as more of a protection over what I have got. But I didn't put as much away into metals until the more I learned about, like I said, the more I learned about the banking system and just the system in general, I wanted everything out. I've got a lot more in metals than what I had in the past. If you look at it that way. So to tell you the truth, I just don't want anything in the bank. I don't want anything in the system anymore.
Sure. Yeah, I think for me, and I always say to people, there's kind of three different criteria of the funds that I put into metals, and it's funds that are unallocated, so for no particular purpose, not for a holiday for next year or buying groceries or anything like that, would otherwise be sat in a bank, gathering dust, losing value, and for the long term. And by long term, we mean kind of 5 years plus as a rough guideline. So unallocated, otherwise sat in the bank, and for the long term in metals, for sure. Because there's really no incentive to keep paper money in a bank. I mean, I don't know why banks don't just, they've got an interest rate of 0.05 or 0.01 or whatever, so many zeros. Just call it what it is. It's zero. It's nothing. There's no incentive. And after inflation, you're losing money. So call it what it is. It's zero. And that's the funds that I would put into metals. Kind of follow up to that then. What allocation of gold, silver, palladium, and platinum would you, or do you have, and what's the reason for that?
I can just, all we could do is tell you what we do. Mine is, we buy every 2 weeks, don't we, Adam? I'm sure you still do. Buy every 2 weeks, but we like to constantly keep on buying, so we benefit from what's called the pound cost averaging effect, which is something we have talked about in videos before too. Pound cost averaging, or dollar cost averaging, wherever you are in the world. I've forgotten the question. I've lost my track.
Percentage of metals, like allocation.
Metals. Yeah. So when I'm buying it that way, because I buy it 2 different ways altogether. I buy it every 2 weeks, and then I also bulk buy, like I said earlier, when the price drops. But yeah, when I'm buying it every 2 weeks, I buy, what do I buy again? 60% silver now. I buy more silver than gold, actually.
Yep.
I've done a lot of research into silver, and I think silver's got, it's got a bigger future, in my view. That's just in my personal view. So I buy 60% silver, I buy 30% gold, and then 5% platinum and 5% palladium.
Yeah.
But I don't really keep an eye too much on palladium or platinum. Mainly silver. Silver's it never used to be. I used to buy more gold than anything else. Most people just buy gold, I think, from my view. Then again, because gold's just, it's at the forefront, isn't it? It's what everyone thinks about.
Yeah.
I like to look behind the curtain though and think, hold on, what are people not thinking about? Maybe, is that a good thing? Maybe,
I think a zoomed out approach is metals are better than paper.
Yeah.
For anyone that's thinking, it's not something I want to get that deep into, or I haven't got the time to do it, and I just want to get cash out of the bank, then metal is better than paper. Generally, the performance of gold is more consistent over time. That's what history shows us. We just go on data. We don't know what's coming in the future, but we look back and say, this is what's happened in the past. Is there a good chance this will continue in the future? But if you're going into silver, palladium, and platinum, you just need to keep a bit of a closer eye on them, because they are not as consistent as gold. So they're a little bit more volatile. Not massively. We're not talking like cryptocurrencies, 30% in a day up and down. We're talking about that they just move a little bit more. So you need to have more of an eye on them, and probably do a bit of research, like James says, into what moves those markets, what moves the price of those metals. Silver being a big industrial metal used in so many different things, and also used in industries that are growing in the future, electric cars, solar panels, things like that. The other thing is, it's not one or the other, as you said, James, about having an allocation of certain percentage of one, certain percentage of another. If you want your bread and butter, your day-to-day consistent consistency as a majority, then maybe at 80% gold with 20% silver. So you've still got a bit of the upside of silver, but you're not all in. You have to decide that for yourself, but there's just a few. I mean, along our journey of doing this over 6 years, as James said, things have changed. Initially, I just bought 100% gold. I didn't know anything about any other metal. I was just like 100%. Then I went to a 70-30 gold to silver, and now switching between the metals. But that's over a 6 year of education and learning. So you have to find what's right for you.
I think if people are unsure, like just get in there, do something, buy some gold. Down the line, you can stop it for some silver, or you can buy some silver. You can do that later. Rather than sit on the fence thinking about it, hurting your backside, get off the fence.
Yeah.
And do something.
Question here: how do I know that the silver or gold I buy is genuine and the actual purity that is stated?
Yeah, good question.
Well,
that's when we normally go into the LBNA markings, don't we, Adam?
Yeah, so we only buy metals that are from LBMA certified refineries. LBMA, that's the London Bullion Market Association. There's a lot of different brands that are LBMA certified, but for us, these metals are the top quality. You can resell them very easily, get the top price for them. So that's what we do. We don't buy second-hand metals or scrap metals or anything like that. Just the top stuff from the top refineries, and they all have certain markings. Again, serial bar numbers. They can be traced. And I think if you're buying from a reputable source, which is a whole nother thing that you'd need to look into, then make sure you're getting LBMA certified metals. It'll just stand you in good stead. It really will. And even if something's too good to be true, it usually is. So if there's something you've never heard of or looks, is a lot cheaper than the general price of the metals, then be wary. I would say the great thing about the precious metals market is it's a global market, and you can find the price of metals everywhere. It's universal. So if you're getting something that's actually, this looks really cheap, be wary.
We've had this before, Adam, haven't we? We've had this, people coming to us saying, "Oh, I can get it at this price." We're like, "Oh, that's clever. It's below the spot price."
Yeah.
It can't be done.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, we have people buying it from eBay and all sorts. You think, oh, yeah.
Yeah, you have to be careful. Again, we have, as James said, people coming to us saying, "I want to buy metals at the spot price or the market price or below that," and it's not possible unless you're going to a mine and getting involved and getting your hands dirty, literally in that side of it.
Yeah.
Then you could go to a refinery with £10 million, dollars, euros, and you'd still pay above the spot price, even if you were going straight to the refinery with that much money. So. Yeah, when people say that to us, "I'm looking for gold at the spot price," I would just say, stop looking. You can find it. That's just how it works. So, okay. One question that was kind of asked earlier, which I knew was coming up at the end, is storage at home or in a storage facility? And we've touched on it a little bit, but...
We always get this question, don't we? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good question. Yeah.
I think... partly it's preference, and with any of this stuff, we always say do it with your eyes open. You don't want any surprises down the line. You can't have it all, basically. There are some benefits to having it at home. there are some benefits to having it stored if you do it the right way. And there's many ways of doing it the wrong way, we think. But obviously having it stored, you don't physically have it with you. So that's, that obviously plays into the side of having it at home. But then you've got metals in your home. And there's the whole insurance side of it and protection and, just being worried about having that much value in your home. Storing the metals, if you do it the right way, you can be exempt from any sales tax, which can save you a decent chunk, puts more money in your pocket than the government's pocket, which I'm sure whatever country you're in, you'll all be happy about that. Yeah, definitely. So it's not either or. It's about looking at the big picture, looking at what's best for you, looking at how much you've actually got. If you've got $500, £500, something like that, then keeping it in your home, probably no big deal. You might have a TV or a laptop that's worth more than that. So the value is not of a big deal. But if you start to get, quite a bit more, then storage is a good option if it's done the right way.
I mean, I personally, I'll tell you what I do personally. I'll do both. I won't tell you where I keep it outside of the vault. Well, I personally do both. But most is in the secure vault, because I know I can get my hands on it at any point anyway, and I know I can sell it at any point. Just a click of a button, I can sell it, liquidate it into cash at any point. So, but I do both. I started initially just buying it and keeping it at home, but it just makes me nervous. I don't want to leave the house. Or keep it somewhere. It swings around about. Some people have this mentality that, if it's not in your hands, you don't own it, type thing. But again, it's not one fits all. We don't try and push people down either path, do we, Adam? We just tell you our thoughts. No. We just give you our views on it and the pros and the cons, and then what's best for you. You can decide what's best for you. Yeah, I personally do both.
Okay, let's just go to a few questions that have come in while we've been chatting. One question is, what do you know about the price of silver being manipulated to a low level and then price rising very significantly soon? Like we've said, we've not got crystal balls, so we don't know what's coming. I personally heard a lot of things about prices being manipulated. How true they are and how much control people can have over the prices, I'm not too sure, if I'm honest. What do you know, James? You might know more about this than me.
I personally think 100% have been manipulated.
Yeah.
But again, it's just from doing my own research and looking at the map. But nobody seems to ever have any hard facts.
Sure.
But then again, we've got very educated guesses.
Yeah.
Very educated guesses. And these big institutions have got very good reason to keep the price down. Because if you look at what they've been buying over the years, it's not in their interest to let the prices shoot up too quick. Because they're hoovering it all up, aren't they? They're buying it all up. So I think, how do I explain it? I think they've got, it's like a coiled spring. I think they're sat on the price at the minute. They're pushing it down. I honestly think it's going to go like that at some point. But again, we haven't got crystal balls. But, it's definitely been manipulated. It's definitely that's what the banks do. That's what the system does.
Yeah. So would you say kind of the research that you've done is partly reading between the lines of what's being said? Yeah. And I think, look, I always say to people, if precious metals do what they've done in the past and they continue to do that in the future, happy days. If they do shoot to the moon and we'll be out there partying with you, don't worry. And if, hope for the best, plan for the worst. And if you're happy with the worst, then you can only win. Question here, can governments actually take metals from storage facilities? Big question. Big question. I guess, look, over the last 14 months, anything's possible. We've seen that. We've seen that anything can happen. I would say it would be very unlikely that would happen. But who knows? I think it's about reducing your risk rather than eliminating it. Can they take it from your bank account? Can banks take it from your bank account? Well, they do. That's far more likely in my eyes than taking it from a storage facility that's outside the banking system.
It's just doing what you can.
Yeah.
Doing the best you can. And without a shadow of a doubt, the banks can take your money off you, and they have. Well, I think Cyprus and Greece have done it in the past.
Look at the signs as well. I mean, the fact that when you give a bank money, it is on that bank's balance sheet. They don't have to give it you back. And hence why the stories that we say stories like they're made up, but the accounts that we're hearing from people where they have to fight the banks to get their own money. That's a sign that there's an issue there. That they can they do. They have a say over what happens with your money. Whereas with metals, it's not that easy. There's a few more kind of moving parts, and it's a bit more tricky to do. So, yeah, you're just putting distance between your hard-earned wealth and governments. That's what you're doing. But it would be
taking back control out of you as much as you possibly can.
Yeah, it would be wrong of us to say that it will never happen, because
you just don't know.
Who knows? Who knows? Stranger things have happened, especially recently. So, perfect. Well, look, guys, we're surprisingly, which is very rare for me and James, we're actually on time. I say that for both of us, especially you, James. You're always late. But that's all the questions. Hope it's been of value to you. This has been recorded, so we'll throw that up online. And if there's any way we can help you, we'd love to hear from you. And have a great evening, a great weekend, and we'll see you soon. Thanks so much, guys.
Please join us on YouTube, everyone, and Telegram if you're not already.
Yeah, we've got a lot of content on there: BitChute, YouTube, Telegram, but we'll let you know about all those.
Yeah.
Perfect. Great. Thanks so much, guys. Speak soon.
Thanks, everyone. Take care. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.